Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and we're actually here in our makeshift garage in the new testing facility. But today I want to talk about a video I've been wanting to make for some time, and this is on squat rack ecosystems. And to be frank, I think the squat rack ecosystems we have today are not very good. Let's discuss. Okay, so before I get into squat racks and their ecosystem, let me first define for you what an ecosystem is. An ecosystem, according to Webster's dictionary, is a biological community of interacting organisms in their physical environment. Now, an ecosystem was originally talked about in the natural world, but we're talking about it as it relates to products. And specifically within the home gym, the ecosystem technically is the entire home gym, but within that, I think you could say there are smaller ecosystems. And the ecosystem that most people's home gym is centered around, whether you like it or not, is your squat rack. It's the way that you interact with most of your training. If you're doing strength training, it's the reason there's all these attachments. It's the reason they're doing different things and making them specific so you stay within the ecosystem. And to better define this, because honestly, the fitness ecosystem and the companies doing it, it's not something that's talked about a lot. I don't hear a ton of people within the different companies talk about, we have the best squat rack ecosystem. But it is something that's talked about beyond and in other industries. And one industry in particular, and one that you're probably interacting with right now, is your phone. If you think about the ultimate ecosystem, and one that this word is just thrown out all the time, is the Apple ecosystem. Now, I'm a former Android user. I've since converted to Apple, and it was because it was so freaking annoying to use an Android phone along with a MacBook. I was like, my text message didn't go across. I couldn't use all the AirDrop, all these different things that they use within Apple to keep you within that ecosystem. And it has multiple benefits. One, the ecosystem is great to provide maybe extra security and privacy, but the other one is it allows the devices to communicate with one another. It's the reason that they can do things like AirTags, where they can help use other iPhones to find where your stuff is. Or it's the reason that you can just send something or copy something quickly from your phone, it then shows up on your desktop. I fell into the ecosystem and I am all the way in, and I realize its benefits. Now, that's not to say that open source is a bad thing, but the ecosystem has a lot of benefits. And when we think about that in terms of home gyms, I honestly think the ecosystems, specifically the squat rack ecosystems that are done in our industry, are kind of lukewarm. They're half done. They can be so much better, and I want to tell you how they can improve. But let me show you the ecosystems we have today by first showing you one right here. Okay, this is the squat rack as most of you know it today. This is the power rack. This is where most people's training centers around. This is an ecosystem, and this one in particular is Rep Fitness's. Rep Fitness is not the first one to have a sort of ecosystem. And if you come in close, the ecosystem is all based really around the width, the depth, the height, and the dimensions of the uprights. The uprights that are used in this is a 3x3 with 1-inch holes all throughout. They're using a 47-inch outside to outside width. That allows for different cross members. And then this one is using a 92-inch height. That affects what can be connected to it. Now, this ecosystem, this idea of holes all around the uprights, is honestly one of the best one that's available today. Rep isn't the first one to do it. In fact, Sorenix lays claim to being the first 4-way hole design. I've heard people argue against that. But honestly, it seems to me like Sorenix was probably the first. That has since been replicated by nearly every company out there. And it changes. Like this, for instance, is 2.95 by 2.95. It's not 3 inches exactly because it's imported. They use 1-inch holes, but they offset them, which is different from Sorenix, which then prevents you from using certain attachments from Sorenix or Rogue or Titan or other companies with this one. And I've actually seen Rep talk about and use within their marketing vocabulary is this idea of an ecosystem. It's actually one of the first ones I've seen within home gyms, but a lot of it centers around this mount right here. This is their center mount lat pull down, and this is really one of the only racks it works with because it utilizes the entire width and height cross members that go across forward and back, and allows you to have a center mount pull down. But let me show you another ecosystem and other ecosystems that we have out there in the home gym space. Welcome to Rack City. And these are all ecosystems within squat racks. Each one of these individually, these are all from different companies, and they all have individual ecosystems based upon the uprights, the widths, and other things that I've said before. I think today, the best example of the ecosystem is the 4-way hole post, like I said, from Rep, which is like done by every company out there. But the company that I think has taken it the furthest, in my opinion, is Rogue. And the reason is all because of this teardrop keyhole design right here, which I believe they bought from Nebula back in the day. But this keyhole design is really designed so that you can create attachments that work seamlessly, extremely well, and only with this upright. An example is a weight plate post. Rogue sells weight plate posts that have a key drop that allow it to go directly in there. And the benefit to that is it allows it to go in quickly, but also allows it to be more secure so it's not drooping and it just doesn't spin. It stays in. There's other things they've come up with that attach to the keyhole design. But my biggest issue is they haven't really done much with it. This is Titan, for instance. It's like, what's Rogue doing? Like, all right, we'll just add it to our rack. So they took the Titan series and they threw the keyhole on the side. Personally, I love the keyhole design. But the issue, again, is Titan has done nothing. Literally, Rogue has a few things they've done with the keyhole system. Titan has done, I don't think they make a single attachment that uses the keyhole. It's like, why did they even add it? I like that they did because then I can use some stuff from Rogue racks, but the current environment in which we live with, when we look at all of these racks, is all of these with hole posts are pretty much all interchangeable. So it's an open source platform, which for most home gym owners is a great thing because that allows you to use Titan uprights with a Rogue belt squat, with Sornix crossmember, with Rep attachments, all in one rack. I don't know who would make something like that. Actually, that's me. That's the rack I have in my garage. But it's just a conglomeration of every company that's out there. And you can use the best from each company. And I love that. But this is what I want to say. I believe there is a way that a company can come up with an upright design and different dimensions that would allow a true ecosystem. Now, I don't think we should get rid of the open source platform, but at this point, this is largely a race to the bottom for a lot of these companies. Like, there isn't that much difference between that Titan upright, as this Rogue upright, as that Rep upright, as that PRX upright, as the Sornix upright. They're all very similar, which is great for the consumer because they have options and they can throw everything in. So the argument is basically like open source versus a closed system. Open source is like Microsoft and like Linux and some of those other systems, and then a closed system is Apple. Not everybody is going to like one or the other. Like, you're going to have people that lie in one camp, that use Android phones, that use PCs, and then you're going to have the one that lies in Apple. And they're pretty entrenched in their own places. Like, people that like the open source system, they really like the open source system. And honestly, I'm kind of one of those. I like the 4-way hole post design. I love the fact that I can have all these different companies' uprights and attachments and make this just mega rack. It's like infinitely expandable. I really like that. But I really want to see a closed system. There has been companies try to do it with smaller uprights, smaller holes, and it's just like, it's still holes, it's still the same uprights. There's nothing truly special about it other than creating a closed system for the purpose of creating a closed system. It doesn't add any extra benefit to the user. So my argument is a company should create a closed system, and I have ideas for this, by the way. It's just I'm not in the manufacturing business. I think a company should create a closed system and improve the experience for users so that it's a user experience that is better than what's out there and gives people options in a similar way people buy Apple products versus Microsoft, Android, or other options. The question is, like those that are in Apple ecosystem, they have a finite amount of things to choose from. It's like if you want headphones in their system, use AirPods Pro, use AirPods Max, or use all of them because you really like them like I do. Or you go outside the system and you have just a myriad of options. Which one do you want? Well, there's going to be people, and I'm sometimes one of those, where I just want the highest quality I can, and I want it to work with all my devices. I don't need all the options. I think that's what can be available. That's not available yet. But I think companies, if you really want to gain market share, and I think if like really help customer experience, create an ecosystem of a rack that is seamless, that allows everything to work together. You have to use their attachments, much like Apple, which you can make arguments against, but there is nobody in the market currently offering something like that. There's nothing that's actually viable. I've used stuff from Arsenal Strength. They have the Alpha attachments, which they bought from USA Performance. It's good, but it's not there either. They haven't done anything with it. It's not for the home gyms. I think this is what's next for home gyms, and I think this is what's next for squat racks, and I think companies need to jump on it and make better attachments that are seamless just for their rack. I'd love to see it. We've got all the 4-way hole post designs. We've got all the attachments for it. Let's see some other options. Okay, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. Woo! I had to get that off my chest. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You think I'm an idiot? Do you not like Apple ecosystem? Like, I understand there's gonna be arguments against it, and I'm not saying get rid of the hole post, but I just think companies are kind of resting on their laurels. Like, we're selling a lot of these, we're not really improving it. I want to see improvement. Let's see it. Let me know in the comments. We'll see you next time. Peace.